Welcome, everyone, to this explainer. Today, we are diving into a truly fascinating piece of research that actually solves one of the most stubborn, frustrating problems in modern computer science. You see, for years, the tech world has been stuck in this brutal tug-of-war. We want post-quantum security to protect our data from future threats. We want absolute privacy, meaning we can process our data without ever exposing it. And obviously, we need processing speed so these systems can actually be used in the real world. Historically, you could pick two, but you had to sacrifice the third. Well, a massive breakthrough paper by Dr. Jinhyuk Fred Chong on KL2 Fully Homomorphic Encryption, or FHE, proposes that we don't have to choose anymore. So let's explore exactly how this research literally breaks the speed limit of secure data.
But first, to really appreciate the solution, we have to understand the scale of the problem we're dealing with, 15.55 seconds. Now, in human terms, that's what? The time it takes to take a deep breath or fire off a quick text. But in the world of computing, where processors are cranking out billions of operations every single second, a 15.55-second computational delay isn't just a hurdle, it is an absolute eternity. It's a massive, workflow-killing roadblock that makes real-time data processing practically impossible. Okay, let's map out exactly how this incredible research solves that delay. Our roadmap for today is 1. The post-quantum bottleneck. 2. Building the format bridge. 3. Crossing the trust boundary. 4. Bypassing the 15-second delay. 5. A 2600x production speedup. And finally, 6. The future of privacy.
Starting right off with Section 1, the post-quantum bottleneck, and why secure math is just so slow.
Let's unpack this agonizing traffic jam that's holding back modern cryptography. It all revolves around Fully Homomorphic Encryption, or FHE. Now, FHE is essentially the holy grail of cryptography, right? It allows a computer to perform math on data while it remains completely encrypted. But there is a catch. Every single time you perform an operation on that encrypted data, a little bit of mathematical noise builds up. If you do too many operations, the noise completely overwhelms the data and it gets corrupted. So to fix this, the system has to perform a functional programmable bootstrapping, a PBS. Think of it as a massive reboot to reset the noise. And under high-security NIST Level 5 parameters, that single reboot takes, yep, you guessed it, 15.55 seconds.
Moving to Section 2, building the format bridge from FIPS 203 to KLTu.
This brings us to the first half of Dr. Chung's breakthrough. The industry standard for post-quantum security right now is NIST's FIPS 203. But here's the issue. Its data formats don't naturally play nice with FHE engines. Usually, you'd have to build this heavy, slow conversion circuit just to translate between them. Instead, this research details an elegant, bidirectional conversion that maps FIPS 203 data directly into the FHE engine's native structures. And it does this simply by efficiently packing and unpacking the mathematical coefficients. It is remarkably direct.
The mechanics behind this bridge are what make it so incredibly powerful. By relying purely on those pack and unpack operations, the conversion never actually runs a decapsulation process, meaning it never exposes the shared secret at the boundary. Yet, even with this strict security, it achieves 100% shared secret agreement across its interoperability paths. Plus, when decapsulation is intentionally called, it flawlessly matches 45 out of 45 official ACVP test vectors. The big takeaway here? We can securely cross this format bridge, perfectly preserving standard NIST wire sizes without ever exposing the underlying secrets.
All right, Section 3, crossing the trust boundary, client versus evaluator.
Let's look at why this matters in practice by tracking where the data actually travels. In any secure cloud computing scenario, you need a strict separation of powers. On one side, you have the client realm. The client holds the secret key, generates the keys, and handles the actual encryption and decryption. On the other side is the evaluator realm, basically your cloud server. The evaluator has absolutely no secret key, but it's the one responsible for performing all the heavy homomorphic math and managing that troublesome cryptographic noise we talked about earlier.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ironclad isolation that maintains complete data privacy. Only encrypted ciphertexts cross that trust boundary. The evaluator is running addition, multiplication, and noise management entirely in the dark. It never holds the key, which means even if the server is completely compromised by a bad actor, your original data remains perfectly secure.
Now for the really fun part, Section 4, bypassing the 15-second delay using the Greek letter options.
Let's see how we tackle that massive 15-second bottleneck head-on. Think of processing encrypted data like driving a high-speed race car. That noise buildup we mentioned? That's the wear and tear on your tires. Doing a full PBS reboot is literally like stopping the race for 15 seconds to completely rebuild the engine. Nobody wants that. So instead of a 15-second full stop, the research introduces 4 discrete noise control options: alpha, beta, theta, and delta. Think of these as lightning-fast, millisecond pit stops that keep the race car moving without ever needing to pull the emergency brake and trigger that massive full PBS baseline reboot.
The crucial point is when you compare the speed of these new pit stops to the old method under those strict, high-security parameters. Just look at this. The alpha option clocks in at an astonishing 42.18 microseconds. Even the absolute slowest option, beta, takes just 35.13 milliseconds. So we are talking about replacing a 15.55-second workflow-killing roadblock with a series of microscopic, lightning-fast adjustments. It's a total game-changer.
Which leads us to Section 5. A 2600x production speedup results in the wild.
So what exactly happens when we string these micro pit stops together in a complex, real-world evaluation? When you map this out on a log-scale chart, where every major grid line represents a massive 10-fold increase, the 4 new options barely even register. They look tiny compared to the towering skyscraper that represents the traditional full PBS. The monumental difference in processing times is just visually undeniable when you look at it this way.
When the researchers put this to the test using a mixed schedule of 50,000 computational steps, utilizing these new options, the results were frankly staggering. The projected speedup compared to an all PBS baseline is roughly 2,670 times faster. To put that into perspective for you, a workload that would normally take over 215 hours, we're talking almost 9 straight days of computing, can now be finished in a matter of minutes, all with absolutely 0 full PBS calls required during the entire run.
But as we all know, moving fast means absolutely nothing if you break the math along the way. So did this incredible speed-up sacrifice accuracy? Absolutely not. The researchers ran a rigorous path-o-depth validation to test this exact thing. They successfully sustained complex multi-depth multiplications, reaching depth 8 for level 3 security and depth 6 for level 5 security. And at the end of the whole shebang, the decrypt match rate was a perfect 1.0. Exact mathematical accuracy was 100% preserved, and again, 0 multi-second PBS calls were required to get there.
Finally, Section 6, the future of privacy and what comes next.
Zooming out to the broader implications here, there has been this long-accepted myth in the cryptography community, the idea that combining standard post-quantum security with the absolute privacy of homomorphic encryption was just fundamentally too slow for real-world production. Well, this paper completely busts that myth. By rethinking how we bridge formats and manage cryptographic noise, we literally no longer have to choose between security, privacy, and speed. We can actually have all 3. Which leaves us with a truly exciting prospect. If we are stepping into an era where post-quantum security and homomorphic privacy no longer force us to sacrifice production speed, the floodgates for innovation are wide open. From secure medical research on fully encrypted patient records to entirely private financial modeling in the cloud, the possibilities are endless. So what will we build next? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this sparks some exciting ideas for you.